Welcome to the Wednesday, May 3rd special City Commission meeting. Today we are meeting to discuss city-sponsored event programs, and we will be reviewing some applications. Let's have the roll call.
Commissioner Frank O'Donnell.
Here.
Commissioner Adam Marl.
Here.
Commissioner Rocky Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Mike Mitchell.
Here.
And Mayor Denise McGriff.
Present. All right. We have a staff report. Is that going to be you, Mr. Graham?
Right. Well, good afternoon, commissioners, and thank you for holding this special meeting of the city-sponsored public event program. And also like to thank all of our applicants, all four of them, for taking the time to apply to this program as well. Before we get started, I am supposed to ask each of you a statement on the conflict of interest.
Yes.
And so therefore, I'll start with Commissioner Frank O'Donnell.
Do we have any conflicts or ex parte, or not ex parte, but do we have any conflicts that would prevent us from making a fair and equitable decision?
No, none whatsoever.
And then Rocky Smith, do you have any conflicts thereof?
Other than volunteering occasionally for some of the downtown events, I have none.
And
I will go next since I'm the next in line. So I am, for the record, I am on the board of the Oregon City Downtown Association. I represent the city of Oregon City on that board. However, none of their events or activities financially benefit me in any way. I also volunteer at events for the city in general, and through DOCA, Lawful Memorial Association, you name it, I've got a list this long. So, and I feel that I can make a fair and equitable decision.
Commissioner Morrow.
No conflicts of interest.
Okay. Commissioner?
I'm a former member of the DOCA board, but I am no longer, and I have volunteered at a couple of these events in the past and probably will again, but that will not affect my ability to make an unbiased decision.
All right.
I have a question.
Yeah.
On the DOCA board, were you a voting member or affiliate? How does...
I was a voting member. I resigned from that position the day after I was appointed to this body.
Are you a voting member or affiliate member? How does that work?
I represent the city of Oregon City on the board, and I am a voting member.
You vote. Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Okay. With that said, I'd like to briefly go over the intent of the program. The City of Oregon City will provide grants to nonprofit formulated organizations as well as for-profit businesses that produce events that are open and accessible to the general public. Such events require the use of public rights-of-way and or use of publicly owned facility. Now you have the guidelines as well as the applicants, so therefore we will begin our discussion with each applicant. I've asked each applicant to be here to provide a few minutes of comment with regard to their project. As you know, one of our applicants is First City Celebrates, is the Downtown Oregon City Association. First City Celebration is the name of the event. They are requesting $15,750, and as you know, the maximum amount under the program is $20,000. DOCA, this is the 12th year of hosting or preparing or developing or proposing, or however you want to put it, the Oregon's First City Celebration. So therefore, with that said, I'm going to ask the representative from DOCA to step forward and discuss their application with you.
Mayor McGriff, commissioners.
A bit closer.
Gosh, I have it right there. Oh,
Perfect.
good. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor McGriff, commissioners, and Mr. Graham. Thank you for having us here. My name is Marcy Jory. I am the Downtown Oregon City Association Event and Placemaking Manager. As you know, Downtown Oregon City Association is a nationally accredited Main Street Association that serves the downtown Oregon City district. And I'd like to thank you first. I wasn't nervous till I sat up here. It's like that happens, the microphone's there, and all of a sudden, cameras are on. Anyways, thank you so much for the opportunity to present to you this evening in regards to this generous events grant that's been opened up for the public by the City of Oregon City. It's important to me that I first thank the City of Oregon City for its ongoing support in so many ways, both tangible and intangible, and I know they're not always recognized, but I'd like to recognize that on behalf of DOCA at this time. We do appreciate it. I'd like to also say that many of you also know that Downtown Oregon City Association puts on many events throughout the year. And these events we do for multiple reasons. Some of these reasons include bringing more people into our district and into our city. They have to do with building a sense of community and place, a place that is safe and fun and welcoming for not just our citizens, but those that come to visit us for these events. Each year we host fun events like wine walks that are popular with the over 21 crowd, the Oregon Trail Game 5K, the Christmas tree lighting, Harvest Festival now, Trick or Treat Main Street, and so many more. But our most notable and our most complex by far is the First City Celebration. This year celebrates 12 years of this event. This is an event that brings thousands and thousands of people to the downtown district and to the City of Oregon City. We host vendors, up to 120 sometimes. Mostly these are small businesses, local small businesses that come in and they're just seeing what it takes to be this small business. And so we provide a place for them to do this, and a really unique Maker's Row for even less of a cost for artists and makers to come and share space and sell the things that they make that are usually handmade items. Live music, dancing, and fun for kids. As you can imagine, and some of you may remember if you've been part of the Oregon City community for some time, this used to be, from my understanding, an Oregon City event that was passed on to DOCA. So you already know, and I'm speaking to the choir when I say, this is a beast of an event. It's a very large undertaking, and it takes many, many hours and a lot of hoop jumping and things to do and a lot of moving pieces. One of the things that we change, and since I've joined DOCA, have always strove to understand what the business owners are wanting from us. So I'm telling you this just so that you can see that we are really trying to change the perception from business owners and DOCA at this time. We want them to feel supported and to be seen and heard, just like we all want to be seen and heard and supported. And, you know, one of the biggest issues was we would use a beer garden as a fundraiser. And we decided this year, after listening and listening to the pain points of our awesome bars and restaurants there, that they felt like we were competing with them. And so we were able to get it approved to allow those restaurants and bars to do what they do best and let them get the revenue for those alcohol sales during this event. It's a really popular event for many reasons. One of them is that we do get an OLCC license so people can walk around the event and shop while they sip their drinks. We have security, we have all sorts of things in place, safety measures, of course. This huge undertaking has grown in popularity and complexity over time. And the truth of the matter is, because of the amount of staff hours that go into it, it is becoming a little bit more cost prohibitive for us to do this and to carry it on and make it sustainable for us to do long term. If you counted staff hours, it actually ends up losing money every year. I say that because this opportunity that we appreciate so much allows us the ability to more sustainably put this event on this year, and then maybe think about ways that we can continue to do this in partnership with other entities, maybe the City of Oregon City or somewhere else, somebody else in the future, to make this more of a group effort and allow us to kind of continue to build this event to something bigger and better and more of a community builder. So again, thank you very much. We appreciate your time. We appreciate the opportunity to serve the downtown district and the City of Oregon City. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? I do have one for Mr. Conkle right off the bat. When was the first year we put that on? And I was trying to remember because I was still working for the city at the time, so I can't remember. You remember when the first city, that's hard to say, isn't it? First city festival was. You might have still been community development director. I know, okay.
Yeah, I don't. I'd have to go back.
It was in the, I thought it was in the 90s.
I didn't start till 2001, So I think it
Yeah, it was
predates
early
me.
90s, I think, somewhere. I mean,
It had to be in the late 90s. I know, I remember it was all hands on deck. The entire city staff was we all volunteered. All right,
Yeah,
so
we
that's
had
your mission now. You have to look that up. Inquiring minds want to
it was
know.
Alice Norris.
Because I think it's been going on longer than 12 years. It might be 12 years with the partnership.
I'm the newbie. I just go by what they tell me.
Longer
It
than
was
that.
kind of too different.
All right, he's writing it down so I can see him. Okay. Mr. O'Donnell, sir.
Yeah, I have a number of questions, and they were asked within the framework of the budget process and some history. So our relationship with DOCA is the city gives $60,000 a year. What does that money go for?
I believe, and I may be speaking out of turn, I'm not the executive director, I'm just the events manager, but my understanding is that it goes for operations, office costs, the cost of rent, our overhead, and things like that.
Okay, and the historical part of it is, how many total businesses are in Oregon City, downtown?
In downtown Oregon City, Denise might know that more than I do. I think there's like 120 or
I
220.
think it's close to 130.
Yeah, it was somewhere around there.
Just had 2 new ones move in, so.
We're in the process right now of updating our business registry, so we'll have a more accurate count soon.
The other question is, I think it's a couple of years back, a number of businesses remonstrated, decided to leave. How many businesses are members of DOCA today?
There are a few, there aren't many. The Friends program, which is what we call it, the Friends program, that went away mostly during COVID, the pandemic, and we haven't really put forth, we've been working on trying to build that back up, but it just hasn't been done yet. And one of my goals has been to kind of rebuild those relationships and foster that so that they will want to join again. I don't know if you're talking about the Friends program or the EID money.
I'm
that
just
we
curious,
have.
of the 120 businesses, what's your estimate of those that are actually DOCA members?
DOCA members, maybe,
About a third.
you think so? Yeah.
However,
They can't really call it a membership under the 501 status that they have.
It's a Friends
So
program.
it's more like a Friends group, as I understand it. As we've looked at this. It's not like you're a chamber member. We all have, there's, the 501c3. We're a little bit different. So they can't call it a membership.
And we can't give them any special treatment for doing it, and that's part of the reason why it's a hard sell, because
So
we
there's
can't do
friends and
anything.
unfriends, apparently. So,
Well,
Friends and acquaintances.
I think,
to me, it's, and honestly, maybe I'm the hard case up here, but I evaluate our relationship with every business partner we have. And whether you're a member or not, I would assume that this business benefits both members. This particular event benefits everyone.
everybody, and all of we don't have any events that benefit people who are members versus not members. There is no distinction in the way we treat them or what we'll do for them. We do the same amount of marketing, we do the same amount of events. They're still welcome to be involved in any of our events. That doesn't affect it at all.
Okay, well, actually, you answered the question about how is the $60,000 spent? Is it administrative costs, salaries, whatever? And I asked that within the framework of the budget because for me, I evaluate every dollar spent in terms of value brought, whether it's salaries or sponsorships or whatever. I don't have a problem with this event because it benefits everybody.
Absolutely.
But consider this a precursor to the budget process because I want to look at that when it comes up.
Absolutely, and I would hope you would, and I hope that there is always and continues to be transparency in that process with DOCA and the city.
Be prepared to answer those specific questions.
Absolutely, yeah. It will likely be the new executive director, but yes,
All right.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Going to make a motion on this one and move on?
Or do we
How
want to
how
hear
we
them
wanna do
all
that?
and then?
One at a time,
Okay.
Want us to vote on them one at a time?
one at a time.
Okay.
Then I'll make a motion to approve $15,750 as per the request to Downtown Oregon City Association for their first city celebration.
Second.
Commissioner Frank O'Donnell,
Aye.
Commissioner Adam Marl,
Aye.
Commissioner Rocky Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Mike Mitchell,
Aye.
and Mayor Denise McGriff.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you all.
Just as a quick reminder, the Main Street program that DOCA is accredited to does have a component, and one of the things that the Main Street process requires and says that there's got to be a partnership with your local government, and we have been able to fulfill that by partnering with that organization. And again, DOCA does, I know I'm on the board, but they work beyond. So they've been working with some of the business in the 7th Street corridor, near in the McLaughlin neighborhood, even though that is technically not downtown, but they have been asked to participate in things, and they have. Several of them do. So it's not just the corridor between 14th and 5th. The Grand Ron are members of the organization, and, we're hoping to really ramp up their participation, but they're participating with us at this point, which is great. So we have discussions with them. We have business owners, we have property owners, general citizens, and that's what Mike was when he was on the board. He was just like an at-large member. So he cuts a large cross-section.
So a question for Mr. Conkle, the budgeted amount, is that's set aside in the budget?
Yes, sir.
The amount stated?
60,000 each year, so 120 over the biennium.
But I mean, the amount of the budget impact of these proposals tonight,
$100,000.
100,000. That's the source of, it says source is general fund. Is there a specific fund that comes from?
Correct. We set up community events when we adopted the budget. So
Okay, that's a line item.
it's a line item separate from the
Understood.
120.
Thank you.
We had a lot of discussion about that we wanted to set some funding aside to do this, because we felt that this was beneficial in terms of not only supporting the community, but it's also an economic development activity.
Thank you. So, Mr. Conkle, is it determined by our MOU that we have a voting member on the DOCA board? Or how is that?
That's not in there, that's in their bylaw.
I'd have to go, I do not believe that the MOU
That doesn't address
It doesn't deal with
does
the
not
board.
address.
The city has a position on it.
Right, I
always
understand
has.
that. And since we're having this conversation, I just want to express my deep concerns that we have a voting member on the DOCA board. I think we should have a liaison who is there to provide input and
That's
feedback.
a conversation for a different venue.
But I'm still going to
Yeah,
express
that's
my
okay. That's
concerns.
fine. That's fine.
Because as we just had Marcy here and we've had Kelly and Liz come before the enhancement grant, I think that there is an optics issue for me when we have an organization where there's a city voting member on the board coming before the city to ask for money. And these are opportunities and grant programs that I support giving the money to them, as I have in the past and I did just now.
Would
But
you
I would-
prefer that I change my vote to abstain?
Well, no, I'm not asking that. I just think that moving forward, I would like us to figure out how we can possibly change that.
And I
That
would-
has to do with the specific organization. So at one time, the organization did have a non-voting member. I was asked, when I came on the board, would I be comfortable with that? And I said, I don't have a problem with it, because obviously my background in preservation and development is valuable to them. Mike has a business background, and he's provided some consultation on issues where he is very aware of. So we have a lighting project that we're working on, and he's been very helpful in helping us with stuff like that. So again, this is offline. So let's have Daisy Dash.
Well, I want to say that I agree with Commissioner Marl's position on it. I think as city commissioners, be a voting member on any other organization, it needs to be surveyed and reviewed. And because I don't know, historically, do we have commissioners on the DOCA before the current mayor?
Yes.
Yes, we did.
Were they voting members?
They
or-
were not.
They were not.
Carol was the board president.
Originally, it was not set up
Nancy
that
was
way.
not. Nancy Ide was not, but Carol was, and whoever was before Carol, Carol Pauley, sorry, I should mention her name. Anyway,
Well, we don't need to do it tonight, but I think
Yeah.
it's something we should discuss in the
but
future.
we're on a number,
Thanks.
the city has representatives on a number of boards and commissions, and there are, on all the ones that I'm aware of that we have, people are voting members.
They're not all funded by the city and they're not all asking before us to get a grant from us.
No,
Agreed.
but they do ask us for money. Ladies?
Yes, Mayor McGriff? Mayor McGriff, before we move on, I agree with my fellow commissioners. At the appropriate time, that is a discussion that we need to have. My other question, just so I'm clear, We have $100,000 budgeted,
Yes.
but our requests are only 64 or whatever.
Right.
'Cause
Okay,
we-
so we could potentially, if other requests come on for events that happen later in the year, we would still have funding available.
Yes, that was something that we discussed, because we put a cap
On the amount.
on the amount that could be awarded per application. You know, when we advertised it, we weren't sure how many we were going to get. So obviously, we're going to, if we stick to the caps that we've set in place, we are going to have funds available relative to what we budgeted.
Okay,
On it, so
thank
we
you.
can discuss it later.
The next applicant has put on their event for 7 years. So this will be the 7th year. The Three Rivers Artists Guild event is the Oregon City Festival of the Arts. They are seeking $6,875 for this event. And here to represent us is Linda Orson.
Orson, founding member of the Three Rivers Artists Guild, and I believe the Artists Guild started about the same time as the Main Street program was, because we would have part of our art show with the celebration, little history. The Oregon City Festival of the Arts has been going on this will be our 7th year. It is a huge event. It's a lot of moving parts. Last year was really one of our best ever because we were put on TV by the city. So this year we went back to KATU and asked what it would be to be on TV again, and we've got our spot there. So we're going all out this year to do as much advertising as we can, as far out as we can into the Portland community. Been working on this project since January. We have about half of our artists have sent in their jury. We have all of our music lined up and all of our food trucks lined up, which was a huge thing to have way in advance. Last year I was part of the organization, but I was only in charge of working with the artists. Our project coordinator backed out in June of last year. I stepped in June of last year to take over the project. And it was a huge success, mainly because of the city helping us with some of the promotions. This is one of the reasons we're coming to you this year to ask for a little bit more money to help us with all of the promotions. Last year we had at least 6,000 people at the event, which was 4,000 more than we usually have. Our artists brought in an amazing amount of money. You talk about economic development. That was a big part of economic development. One thing we needed to get more advertising about the city, about our businesses in the city. We had quite a few businesses donating to our silent auction, so that was a kind of an in of, this is what we have in Oregon City. This year, we'd like to get probably some information from the city on what is available tourism-wise. If there's anything available. I know the city used to have brochures on the restaurants and places to stop.
And we still do. They're on.
Still do.
We still
Good.
do. They're also online.
Oh, good. I need those. This year, we're also trying to be a little bit more diverse in our food and our entertainment. So this year, we invited DJ Prashant, put on a Bollywood dance party on Sunday. Woohoo! It's going to be so much fun. We're also having a Chica Marimba band on Saturday to provide island music. We have Soul Flags, which is donating the artwork for the hands-on children's art. We've invited an indigenous group from here in Oregon City. Let me see if I can find her name. Friends of the Red Lodge. They are centered here in Oregon City. Most of the artwork that they have comes from incarcerated indigenous people. They sell the artwork and support programs for those people. And we are hosting them this year at the festival. I could go on for days, but I think I will stop here. Questions? And we already have postcards.
I mean,
Save the date postcards.
I read the staff report and it says the primary beneficiaries are the Girl Scouts and those who support them.
This is the Festival of the Arts.
Oh, Festival of the Arts.
Sorry,
Yeah, I'm
wrong
looking at
one.
the
But the Girl Scouts may be helping us to volunteer.
What's the amount you're asking for?
6,875.
No question.
Adam?
See,
Rocky?
No.
the questions for me are always who benefits and everybody
Yeah,
benefits.
this is everybody benefits. So
Who
my-
benefits? Everybody benefits.
All right.
My
City,
question
the
was, the
artists.
question that I asked you last year when I was down there buying stuff at the auction, was that I recommended that there be, try to get more Oregon City-oriented vendors, because I kept getting asked by people when I was, is there something here that's about Oregon City, or is there an artist from Oregon City? They had lots of stuff that said Portland and other places, but it wasn't, and
Oregon
when you're in
City.
your own town, you want to buy that kind of stuff.
We have photos. That's one thing we really can't
I'm not saying
Ask-
branded Oregon City, I'm just saying a local Oregon City artist.
Right, well, a lot of our artists are from Oregon City. I think half of our artists are actually from Oregon City. So, but to actually say that we
No,
have
I'm not saying branded, I'm just saying,
Pho-
like, for instance, I bought
photographs.
cards. And I wanted
Cards and
cards that were
photographs.
specifically from Oregon City, not from Portland or Mount Rainier or whatever. And there weren't a lot of artists there who were doing,
right,
who had Oregon City-oriented stuff.
that's not really one of the
I know it
criteria.
isn't, but I'm just asking you the question.
But-
And I said, I'll ask you next year when I see you.
If we can, I think we do have an artist that does do artwork. We don't have all of our artists yet also. We haven't juried any of our artists in yet. May 15th is when we cut off our jury. So I will know better at that time.
All right, well,
I'm
we'll talk
keeping my
later.
eyes open. I'm keeping my eyes open.
I will. I'll bring my cash money.
Mayor, I actually agree with the mayor. I mean, this is the second presentation. Everyone has talked about economic development, its impact on the community. And Mr. Britton, we've always talked about what's our brand, and local merchandise is part of our brand. So my hope is that the gentleman over here, our economic development director, is working hand in glove with you to capitalize on these events. If you're staging it, you're bringing them, I hope that you're working, and he's coming to you and saying, what can I do? And you guys work together, because let's make every one of these count. Let's maximize the economic benefit. I mean, every time I hear one of these, I say, well, maybe it ought to be in economic development.
Actually, one of the things we were talking about was referring people to DOCA to pick up Oregon City-related items.
I'm not explaining this clearly.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is, because I participated in it as a community member, so I was looking for things, for instance, cards are my big thing. I know that I went to the event that you guys held at the senior center, and there must have been a half a dozen vendors there who were from Three Rivers Artists Guild, and they had different paintings or pictures that were cards that were
Right.
of our area.
Right.
And so I was looking for that. There was a gal there was making purses. She's from Oregon City. There was somebody else there were 2 or 3 potters. They were local potters from Oregon City that I know that they live because I bought some from them. So those were the kind of people that I was hoping to see at the Three Rivers, the event at the Trail Center. And there were, and maybe it was just a horrible busy weekend for all of our Oregon City people, but there were a lot of people there from Portland.
Right.
And I knew because I looked at their business cards, and so it didn't stop me from buying cards, but, if there were more of our folks there, I would have spent maybe a little more money, but I'm not saying it's a requirement, I'm just saying we need to do everything we can to cultivate our local crafts people, the people that have stuff to sell, that we know that they make great stuff.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Further discussion, or is there a motion?
I'll move to approve $6,875 for Festival of the Arts.
Second.
Commissioner Frank O'Donnell,
Aye.
Commissioner Adam Marl,
Aye.
Commissioner Rocky Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Mike Mitchell,
Aye.
and Mayor Denise McGriff.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Mayor McGriff, before we go on, in the guidelines that,
Yes,
for the
I have
program
those here in
that
front of me.
that Mr. Graham presented, it does say wherever possible, Oregon City-based vendors should be given preference in their participation in the public event. So,
That's why I was asking.
yeah, but I don't think that's exactly on the application. So maybe if people aren't reading the fine print, maybe it should,
Well, the guidelines is,
It's a guideline.
yeah, understood. But it's a good guideline.
Invisible guideline isn't a guideline. Let's make it visible.
All right.
the next applicant, for 4 years, the Oregon City Brewing Company has developed and put on its event. It's called the Oregon Trail Brew Fest. And they're seeking $19,873 for their event. And we have, Mr. Morrow is here to present on behalf of his company, which is a for-profit entity, putting on this event.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor, City Commissioners, Bryce Morrow, Oregon City Brewing Company. Thanks for the invitation, Mr. Graham, Mr. Conkle. This is our 4th year putting on this event, and really the motivation behind it is just to have a all-ages summertime blast at the end of the Oregon Trail Interpretive Center, which is an amazing, beautiful space, assuming that it's not 100 degrees. It's been great. It's grown up a lot over the years. Last year was our best year ever. We estimate that it was a little over 4,000 attendees last year. Like 2,700 of that was ticketed. And we try to have a large assortment of food vendors, and we've got, this year we'll have 6 bands that are already signed up. We have 31 breweries that have signed up. A lot of our brewery friends, everyone is based in Oregon, including all of the local breweries here that are based in Oregon City. And I think an important thing, really the way that I think about this, and I'm not that altruistic, perhaps, because if you looked at some of the numbers, and if you looked at the income statement from last year, you'd be like, why are you putting this on, Bryce? You barely broke even. Well, the reason is the name of our business has the name of the town right in it. So, I view every part of tourism benefits my business. And then from that, it benefits the local community also. One thing that I love from it is that we have roughly about 1/3 of the ticketed sales are done through pre-orders. We use a software called Eventbrite, and they're able to capture all kinds of analytics from there, such as where the customer is originating from. From last year, we had 89.2% of attendees lived outside of Oregon City, and approximately 15% of attendees traveled from Washington. Those were really close numbers to our previous year. We skipped 2020 and 2021, obviously, due to the pandemic, but it was 91.7% of attendees 2019 were from outside of Oregon City, which is terrific. I think that, Commissioner O'Donnell, when you talk about it being as much economic development as tourism, I think that's right. And that's what we want to look for, is events that bring in people to Oregon City and get to see what is beautiful about it. So we're already, the preparation for this event starts long ahead. And I think one part perhaps is missed out of the numbers that I've provided here is that on top of it, last year we had 75 volunteers. Labor is a large component. I absolutely tap out my staff that week. They put in crazy hours to accommodate, 4,000 plus people and everything that it takes to provide that. But we also have 75 volunteers that are pouring beverages, that are helping out, that are checking in guests, that are manning, merchandise booths, those kind of things. So I know there's some people who are watching on YouTube, et cetera, that may not be in this audience. I would love for anybody to sign up to be a volunteer this year. We give out a free T-shirt, free tasting glass. It gives the paid admission. Of course, you have to do the tasting after your shift of being a volunteer. But it really takes a lot of hands that go well beyond, my business being a for-profit entity. There's nothing else that we do throughout the year that brings in close to 75 volunteers that it takes to put this on. And this year, I would be excited. We've never really advertised this thing, which is kind of the crazy thing. Over the past 4 years, we put this on. We essentially just utilize our own four-wall marketing within our business, and then our own social media that we leverage. We received a small amount of money. I think it was $500 or $700 from the Mount Hood tourism, and that was in 2019. Yeah, and that was helpful. We had good cost per acquisition on that. So I'm really excited that we can actually bring in more people. We can have a larger event, better bands, better security, better organized, fun learning things. Every year we put it on. We make a big list, and we have a post-mortem how we can make it better the next year. So, yeah, I appreciate the opportunity, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Sure. Yeah. What's the Eventbrite component of revenue?
Yes, roughly about a third. If you look down at the,
I see the numbers, but what is it?
Yeah, it's a pre-sold amount. So let's say that you were going to come on there and you wanted to purchase a ticket, you would get the tasting glass, and we actually provide a glass. It's not like plastic, so you can use it in the future. So you get the tasting glass, and then you get the tickets for tastings. So it would be what anyone would pay if they were going to consume alcohol at the event.
Eggs purchased, which looks like about $17,000 worth. Only $800 were from your brewery?
Yeah, well, maybe that plays into it a little bit. Yes, so we had 33 different breweries last year that participated. We already have 31 that have signed up this year. They've got another month, so we're well above what we have. So, we don't have an offering that is, it's very small. I think we had 3 beers last year out of 90, something like that. So we try to make it a real thing where it's not just about us, it's about a tasting experience. And then, I think one thing there, Commissioner O'Donnell, you would look at, our margins are a little bit more superior than if we're buying wholesale product from another brewery.
Did you receive a grant last year?
No, we've never received any grant proceeds.
So if you had the same experience this year, you would be $20,000 to the good.
Well, not quite. I think we have some additional expenses that we put in here in projected. For example, we had $5,000 in advertising that I would slate just if we received this grant, an additional $1,500 in additional bands. Last year we had 4 bands. We already have 6 that are booked for this year. Additional security cost. One thing I think that would be a critical component of this conversation is how many people came. So, I think we'll have additional staffing there that would be 1 person just to count every single person that comes in there. So we have additional costs, slated projection of $7,400.
And the question for me is always the same. Who benefits? Who pays?
Yeah.
And you just stated your additional cost over last year are $7,400.
Yeah, and of course, I think if we were, and to answer that honestly, if we didn't receive any grant proceeds, then I wouldn't spend $5,000 on ads. I would probably spend a very small amount.
Sure.
Because in the past, we haven't had to. But I do feel that we can leverage our existing customer base, and we can have great data to push it where we could push for cost per acquisition, instead of just putting up a billboard or a flyer where we can actually look at. So my assumption is we wouldn't maybe do that great of a job, but we would be able to do dollar for dollar revenue generated for the ads that we spend. Hopefully we can do a lot better.
Of the increased costs, most of those are promotional fees.
Correct. And predominantly, I would spend it all on probably Facebook and
Yeah.
Instagram marketing.
See, I always view it as how does the entire city of Oregon City benefit? How does the downtown business community as a whole benefit? And knowing where you're holding it, do they then, I suspect it's a single destination. They're there and then they leave from there. I don't see them. I wish I could have some numbers on the impact on our restaurants, but you're already serving food there, so. Okay, I think I need to know what I need to know. Thanks.
Just real quick, good to see you. So it says that it's free admission, but you had mentioned the Eventbrite and the pre-sale tickets. I just wanted to clarify that the charge is for the tasting, but otherwise, if you're not doing that, it's free general admission.
Yeah, that's correct. We've actually never charged admission. Part of it is impossible to control also.
Right.
Everybody here has been to the interpretive center. There's about 40 different entrances to get into the place. So, yes, it's only for those who would consume alcohol, and you have to have our special glass alcohol.
Thank you.
Mike?
No, I'll just say one thing that Bryce didn't mention, that compared to probably any other event that goes on in the city, this one is going to have a bigger geographic draw and more people, because there are a lot of people that spend their summers following the Brewfest schedule. Whether it's Washington, Oregon, all over the Northwest, all over the country, there are people, that's just how they spend their summer. So we're going to see a lot of visitors that we wouldn't normally see from probably a bigger geographic area.
Yeah, absolutely. One point that I put in here, and it comes through in tiny, tiny print, is the Oregon Brewers Festival, which is one of the largest tourism events in the state, if not the largest, with over 80,000 attendees, is canceled for this year.
Whoa.
We normally plan it out to certainly not be on the same weekend as them, and we don't want to obviously be on the same weekend as the First City Festival. So, we think that there could be an opportunity to pull in additional people. I think the demand is still there. People still want to get together and break bread and have a beverage with people during the summer. So, I think all that opportunity could be a tailwind for us.
I guess my question has to do with the, I forgot that you did do the Eventbrite. So people that participate in that, basically, it's a much smoother process for them because they come to a specific line, they get their tickets and their beer glass. But if you're doing it at the quote-unquote booth, I think last year I saw there was like a horrendous line.
That's right. Yeah, that's what they get out of it. They actually end up paying a little bit more because they pay a small fee to Eventbrite.
Right.
But they essentially get to cut in line. They just have a printed out QR code. We scan it, give them their stuff, and then they're off.
Yeah, these are people are,
Yeah, and everybody paying cash or caught up in card, it can be a very long line.
I didn't do that.
And I think perhaps that is some of the data that we have in here that we're not capturing. It's very challenging. When I would say that 89% of people are coming and they're not in Oregon City, that's not capturing all the locals who are just showing up and they're not pre-buying the tickets. So, I think we're going to do our best to get as much information as we can. But of course, it won't be perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody wants it right then, that minute.
Yep.
Hey, thank you so much. Yes, sir.
Are we ready for a motion?
Yeah.
I will move to approve $19,873 in funding to Oregon City Brewing Company for the Oregon Trail Brew Fest.
Second.
Motion.
Commissioner Frank O'Donnell,
I agree with sponsoring the event. I'm not sure the amount, so I will just abstain from it.
Commissioner Adam Marl,
Aye.
Commissioner Rocky Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Mike Mitchell,
Aye.
and Mayor Denise McGriff.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bryce. Thank you so much.
Our next applicant, Daisy Dash, for the Daisy Dash, this will be the inaugural event of for the Girl Scouts of Oregon and Southwest Washington. This applicant is seeking $22,075, although the max is $20,000. So here with us are representatives from the Girl Scouts.
Hey, thank you. Good evening, Mayor McGriff and City Commissioners. Thank you for your time this evening. I am Melissa Riley, Director of Development for Girl Scouts of Oregon and Southwest Washington, and joining me this evening is our CEO, Shannon Evers, who's also a resident of Oregon City. Girl Scouts of Oregon and Southwest Washington will hold the first annual Daisy Dash this September. Daisy Dash is a 24-hour adventure challenge where teams complete short, fun, engaging activities and take pictures and videos and then upload them into an app to earn points and win prizes. With funding support from Oregon City's city-sponsored special events program, Oregon City becomes the destination location for more than 100 Daisy Dash challenges on Saturday, September 9th. And the end of the Oregon Trail Interpretive Center and grounds become the Daisy Dash finish line. Challenges will be designed to engage participants in the exploration of Oregon City's art, history, farms, fields, recreation, shopping, food, and drink, all categories featured in the Travel Oregon City website. We are marketing Daisy Dash for 3 categories of team participation. The traditional Girl Scout troop with at least 2 adult leaders and youth participants. The Girl Scout family, with 1 Girl Scout youth along with her parents, siblings, and other relatives such as grandparents or even friends. And the community team, for participants with no Girl Scout affiliation. Girl Scouts of Oregon and Southwest Washington has 14,224 youth and adult members across Oregon and Southwest Washington. Within the Portland metro area, we have 5,011 members. Our established internal Girl Scout marketing will be used to promote Daisy Dash to our membership. A goal of Daisy Dash is to engage the greater community with Girl Scouting and bring visibility to the breadth and depth of programming that Girl Scouting offers beyond just cookies and camp. We have contracted with A. Word Smith, a PR firm, to strategize and implement a marketing plan that promotes Daisy Dash participation to the general public through appearances on local television morning shows and a media campaign on Facebook and Instagram. As a featured challenge location and the finish line for Daisy Dash, Oregon City will be promoted in our event marketing. Partnerships with Oregon City businesses and organizations contribute to the excitement and fun of Daisy Dash, while creating an economic impact with financial benefits that extend beyond Girl Scouts of Oregon and Southwest Washington. The end of the Oregon Trail Interpretive and Visitor Center will be a Daisy Dash partner. I met with Gail Yazzolino regarding the rental of this space at the center and an admission pass for participants to complete challenges that relate directly to the history of Oregon Trail. Gail mentioned the value in having a diverse group of people visit the center as she looks to rebuild awareness of the end of the Oregon Trail programming post-COVID. The McLaughlin Memorial Association will be a Daisy Dash partner. I met with Kayla Vickery regarding challenge opportunities at the association's properties. Kayla is excited about bringing visibility to the association and selling root beer floats as part of the Daisy Dash event. Energy Kayaking will be a Daisy Dash partner. Operations Manager Kurt Dottiger is prepared to welcome Dash participants into Energy as they seek a photo with paddling gear to complete a challenge. These partnerships are just the beginning of Daisy Dash's integration into Oregon City. With the support of the city-sponsored event funding, I look forward to meeting with the Oregon City Chamber of Commerce, Downtown Association, Business Alliance, and others regarding how specifically businesses and organizations here in Oregon City can be part of challenges. They can contribute coupons or promotional items to participant swag bags, and showcase their products as Daisy Dash prizes. Daisy Dash has multiple prize levels, with the goal of all teams achieving success for their efforts. The submitted budget includes funds for purchasing local Oregon City items as Daisy Dash prizes. At Girl Scouts of Oregon in Southwest Washington, we have had post-COVID success creating events with high attendance. In 2021, we launched STEM Day, an event for Girl Scout families and troops to experience STEM activities hands-on at the Willamette Heritage Center in Salem, Oregon. The event sold out at a COVID capacity of 325 participants with 15 vendor partners. In 2022, STEM Day sold out, reaching capacity at the Willamette Heritage Center with 450 participants and 30 vendor partners. To meet the participant demand, in 2023, STEM Day will be held at the Salem Convention Center with an anticipated 1,000 participants and 50 vendors. In addition, our recent OMSI Family Science Night was our largest in-person event since COVID with 800 participants. Daisy Dash has the potential to bring over 1,000 individuals to Oregon City this fall. Daisy Dash is an annual event that can grow to become a family-friendly hood to coast that does not require intense training or athletic abilities. Girl Scouts of Oregon in Southwest Washington is looking to build a lasting relationship with Oregon City and create an event where even the residents of Oregon City look forward to being tourists in their hometown for a day. Thank you.
Anything? You don't have to. No, you don't have to. I'm just Okay, so my first random question is that Mr. Graham basically stated that there is a maximum amount for the grant, and that's not what you have on your application.
Yes, the intention was just to receive the maximum amount if that was awarded to us and not the additional funds. What happened is how the application automatically populated as I pulled the numbers for the areas of security and marketing and supplies and promotion, it automatically divided from my initial budget, I believe, and calculated that total. So my intent is not to go over the maximum that can be awarded.
Okay, so who else is funding? Who else are you asking funds for?
Yes, so to participate in Daisy Dash, there is a participation fee, and we're offering a discounted fee to our internal Girl Scout membership. It comes to about $25 a participant for a team of 5. And then for our external community, the price is double. So we're looking for teams with 5 members with the goal of a $250 team buy-in cost. And then we're also seeking sponsorship. So Daisy Dash evolved from what used to be our kind of luncheon fundraiser. But we want to engage the community a little differently with more energy. So we're also seeking the sponsors that had previously sponsored our luncheon to come and support us with this new event. And we've been having some success with that as well.
And who is that?
So far we've secured sponsorships from The Standard, from US Bank, from Brown & Brown, Palmer & Kay, Pacific Power.
That information, I didn't see that information in the packet.
That's probably come in since we submitted the application.
But did you indicate I didn't see anything in the application that indicated you were attempting to get these sponsorships?
In our budget breakdown, so that we had revenue to offset the expenses, we did list out a line item for sponsorship and then also a line item for the participation fees.
And I'd say the intention is to have sponsors cover the cost of the event so that the ticket sales can actually go to the fundraising component of it.
And then the other thing is that, I will say for the record, I'm very familiar with the Girl Scouts, not of this organization, but my niece is a senior Girl Scout, so believe me, I've been hit up more than once a year by her for other things, and I even get my Girl Scout cookies shipped in because they come
I hope
from
she's going for her
California.
gold award.
So I'm familiar with the Girl Scouts. So, what kind of experience do you have? This is the first time you've you're going to do this. So, what type of experience do you have in putting together an event of this magnitude? I mean, I know what goes involved in a luncheon and all of that sort of stuff, but
We do events like this all of the time, multiple times a year for our Girl Scout audiences. So those are some of the examples that we showed with the OMSI Family Science Night and the STEM Day. We probably do at least 2 or 3 large-scale events like this just for our Girl Scout audience a year. We have a team of almost 6 full-time program staff that work on those events exclusively. And this is kind of our first attempt at doing a community event, but it's no different than doing it for 8-year-olds versus non-Girl Scouts.
You know I'm here.
That's why I'm looking at you.
So I note that it's a 2-day event. It originates in Portland on September 8th and concludes here in Oregon City. What percentage of the first day is spent in Oregon City?
So this event is designed to be able to be done anywhere anywhere people are. So you could actually do it and complete it in your home and never leave your front door. But we want to develop a sense of community and create experiences for our guests and our game players to actually experience things that they wouldn't be able to do. So, as an example, working with the Heritage Center, they can do activities that will teach them about End of the Oregon Trail, but people in Medford will actually be able to participate in that activity, or they can drive up to Oregon City and complete it here in a different way. The challenge will be able to be done on-site or at home. Our intention, the likelihood is that the majority, I'd probably say 80 to 90% of participants are actually going to be participating from the Portland metro area. And the majority of the people will be coming to Oregon City. The gameplay is going to be designed to end at the Oregon Trail. So they're likely, to be more specific, to answer your question, it's probably not going to be a lot of activities specifically geared on Friday night towards Oregon City, because we're going to be releasing the challenges at different times. It's a 24-hour gameplay, and we're going to be releasing different challenges to kind of drive people kind of on an adventure across the state or across the Portland metro area.
I'd say that was a long recitation to a fairly simple question. So most of the activity is going to happen in Portland initially, and for most of the day, the first day. And then there's remote activity that's going to happen everywhere. At what point does Oregon City get involved?
I'd say Oregon City, I'd say Saturday morning is probably when we're going to start to see massive amounts of people showing up in Oregon City.
Have you solicited funding from the city of Portland?
We have not. We aren't aware of any that we're qualified for.
Is that going to happen on their waterfront, or where would that happen?
We haven't actually determined that. We're actually, based on conversations we've had this week, we might actually be looking at Beaverton with a certain...
See, once again, I always look at what's the benefit to Oregon City. I believe you stated 2 businesses that are working in conjunction with you, the kayak place and maybe another. So there's going to be awards, and I'm not sure, when I look at it, you say 1,000 people. Is that correct? You think you might bring 1,000 people to Oregon City?
Our goal is to have 1,000, yes.
Okay, so if you meet your goal, I'm going to pay $200 per head to bring somebody here at $20,000. Is there anything in your program that leads those up to 1,000 visitors to explore Oregon City? Is the awards program structured that you gather something from a museum, or you win a prize that takes you to a restaurant? Is there any component of that I haven't heard?
That is exactly the point. So we will be working with local businesses to secure prizes that are related to Oregon City, whether we're offering honey that's produced here, or maybe some Oregon City brewery beer.
Probably not for Girl Scouts.
Well, this is a
Not if you'd like to
community
retain
event.
your
This is not
license.
just for our Girl Scouts. So I want to be clear on that too. So when it, let me step back to and explain like the what's in it for Oregon City. So we will be bringing people who are not normally who are not Oregon City residents to the city to learn and interact very specifically with businesses, nonprofit organization, parks and recreation sites, historical sites. We will have at minimum, and we're committing to this, 100 specific challenges related to Oregon City. So whether they're going on the elevator or they're churning their own butter, they will have very specific challenges related to really the brand of Oregon City. In addition to that, we want to engage businesses in the prize side of things. So they will have opportunities to include items in our swag bags to promote their services to our greater membership at large and participants. We will also be bringing, hopefully, hotel reservations. Challenges will include things like going to a restaurant in Oregon City and purchasing items on your like the third item on the menu, and things like that. So at least 100 challenges will be very specifically related to activities that can only be done in Oregon City or at the level we're hoping for.
Quite honestly, I would have liked to have seen those enumerated before you just launched into it. It sounds like something you could accomplish, but has not yet been accomplished. That's my interest, is exposing Oregon City to these visitors. I want to benefit to Oregon City, to our businesses, to our community, to our anything that we offer, whether it be our museums or whatever. You said something about internal and external fees, a difference in participating. Is Oregon City, are we considered internal or external?
That's a fantastic question. So how we have structured this, and this is something that I'm interested in negotiating if that's something that you're interested in. But how we have actually structured this is for the $20,000 investment, we're looking at it like a sponsorship, giving you all of the benefits and rights of what other sponsors would get at that level. So that does include, I think, 2 teams, which isn't a whole lot of people. That's 10 people to use however you want. But if we wanted to, I would be open to, through like our school partnerships and things, offering a discount to our families at schools, or even offering some sort of, I don't know, we can get creative about it if that's something that is of interest to you.
So do I read this correctly, that you think your total cost to put this on are around $44,000? Is that what this grant request budget says?
So that grant request budget is the specific items that qualified within the grant funding guidelines. And so attached to it is a more detailed breakdown, which comes out closer to $92,000 for us to put the event on.
You said 92?
92. And not all of our expenses qualified within the guidelines, so I pulled those out. So you're only considering the qualified expenses at this time.
Once again, for me, I look at what portion of this program benefits Oregon City in every way I've already stated, and what portion of the total financial burden are we being asked to carry. So I think I have my answers. Quite honestly, I'm not sure I'm prepared to give that total amount. I'd like to see this thing fleshed out a little bit. Is this something we can make an initial award and revisit it prior to, again, in the future, or not? Is it now or never?
Well, I think that staff only looks at the application as presented. We don't.
Yeah,
we
we
don't.
didn't
Okay,
get a second.
that's my answer.
Okay, go ahead.
So
Today.
can I offer a little bit
So,
extra context of?
Yeah, no, go ahead, you go ahead.
Sure. I'm going to do a little bit of what I call Shannon math, which is a little bit of rounding and estimating. So if it's about $100,000 event, with the $20,000 investment, you're looking at 20% of covering about 20% of the cost, right? About 100 specific challenges, 1,000 people participating in 100 different challenges. That's about, 10%. But there's also the added benefit to the business side, which isn't really captured in a financial side of things, of local businesses being able to market directly to the audience that comes, which is an audience that I believe is not something that our local businesses here in Oregon City have access to on a regular basis. So,
See, what I'm trying to do is make the transition from the end of the Oregon Trail to lead people to our businesses, our museums, our restaurants. And the only way that comes to be is if, as part of the package of these awards, guess what? You won a meal at such and such a restaurant, or you won a free visit to such and such a museum.
yes.
And that structure isn't there yet. That's why I asked about,
I believe that's in the application.
I didn't see it.
I didn't see it.
So part of the prize structure, we're using some of the funds to actually purchase prizes and work on deals with local businesses to use as prizes for return visits, for added enhancements. We'll be using some of the funds to actually pay for the challenges so all 1,000 people can actually participate in that. So we're not asking Oregon City businesses to offer those services to us for free.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that in exchange for this amount you're offering, we tie the people that would visit the end of the Oregon Trail, who may just come there and simply leave after they complete whatever, I want to draw them into our larger economic area. And that's the tie I don't see other than a simple statement that you make in your application.
Mr. Morrow.
Go ahead, I'm done.
Right ahead.
Thanks.
Thank you. So I'm still trying to understand the virtual and remote option. So how is someone going to virtually order the third menu item at an Oregon City restaurant? Or how are they going to virtually go up and down the elevator?
So the reality is you can't. And so that's why Oregon City becomes a destination. So when we market Daisy Dash, participants are going to know that if they want to come and achieve high value challenges and get their points up faster, they're going to plan in advance. How can my family, how can my friends, my team, how can we spend Saturday in Oregon City? And so I've actually played this game very similar during COVID. The Boy Scouts in Oregon launched a very similar event. And every morning my family would wake up and we had challenges we had to do. It was phenomenal. I felt like I went on vacation, but I was exhausted because there were so many things to do. And we went all over the city of Beaverton where we lived, looking for public art, making videos in front of historic buildings. My son learning so much about the community. And so when our board of directors at Girl Scouts started to explore using that app as a tool to connect with our greater community, I was really excited about that. And so if it helps you to see on my phone, I'm happy to bring it up and share with you. As I came into Oregon City last Friday in preparation for today, I met with Gail at the end of the Oregon Trail and spent a couple of hours with her, just really talking about if we get someone to come to the end of the Oregon Trail Museum, it's not just for like one challenge and then jump in your car and get to the next one, but how can we make sure there's a package of challenges there, like perhaps 10, so they're spending some quality time. And then what is the cost for Girl Scouts, as I had been using their website numbers to estimate for the budget, to make sure that people who come in to play the challenges there have a positive experience. So we worked through a lot of those details, and she was really excited. And I created just sample challenges to be able to share with them. And same with energy kayaking. So I had 3 different options available, and Kurt and I discussed them. And one of the challenges is actually a remote challenge, where if you're not able to, say you're playing from Medford, because we do want to feel inclusive to all of our members, they could go on to the website for energy kayaking, and their challenge is to see what kind of tours they offer and record a travel channel style video promoting that tour. So although that family might not be coming to Oregon City that day, they've taken the time to learn about an offering and understand that there are kayak tours that take you to like the second largest waterfall in Oregon, I believe. So it's great and it's fun and you get to learn about Oregon City. And next time somebody's traveling from the south to the north, they might just decide to stop here. So it's bringing visibility to those who aren't already residents of the Portland metro area, and also really enticing those who are in the area to come, because we can select how many points a certain challenge is worth, and we can definitely offer more points to the Oregon City challenges. And if you would like to see the app, I'm happy to bring it up and share it with you.
Okay, well, I have issues with the virtual aspect. I don't think that the possibility of winning a $25 gift card to one of our local restaurants would entice a family to make the 6-hour trek to visit our community. I would love if that would happen, but I just have a hard time with that.
Mr. Mitchell?
We're not talking about a $25 gift card. We're talking about like solid packages that would actually bring people for a weekend, or bring a troop out for spending the day out and learning about the history that would connect back to badge work and things like that. So, or even, prizes that actually offer free admission. Anyway.
I can clarify the prize structure a little bit, because when I did play with
I'll just defer to Commissioner Mitchell, because we're running low on time.
Yeah, we've got another meeting we have coming up, and, go ahead.
I've got two main concerns. In our guidelines, eligibility, the first one says that the activities take place within the legal boundaries of Oregon City. And I take that to mean entirely within the city of Oregon City, and this doesn't. The other thing, the second guideline says public event open to anyone. And I understand that technically it's open to anyone, but as presented, it's going to be promoted to Girl Scouts. And I know you said it's also going to be promoted openly, but the title of this is public events, and this just does not feel like a public event to me.
So the intention behind this event is to...
That's my comment. I'm not really asking a question.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Smith?
Well, I'll say that you've come in at a disadvantage. One, because we have 3 other events that we know very well, and we know the ins and outs of them. We've seen them succeed, and so it's harder to come in with a brand new event that we are still trying to grasp what it is. But going back to the guidelines are for events attracting 1,000 to 5,000, and you are saying up to 1,000, or we're hoping for 1,000. So it doesn't meet the guidelines either. I mean, if you're missing one, so.
Our goal is 1,000.
Goal is different than
Actual.
And that's a variable of one person. So I don't know. I also think, though, on a separate topic, we should consider the money that's left over after we disperse these funds for a couple of possibilities. One, other events that are coming forward, or also the possibility of breaking some of that out to smaller events, because I know other events in Oregon City didn't apply because of the specification, and there may be ways that we can put a secondary level. I'm sincere in saying that a brand new event is up against, a harder threshold. And so maybe there is a way that we can discuss, smaller grants for a beginning event or something like that. That's a separate topic, but I think, we know some of these other events pretty well. We've attended them. I plan plenty of events myself, and I have a hard time understanding how I would be charging $25 to $50 per person, which maximum would make $50,000 on an event that we're spending $100,000 for. And I have also tried to look into doing an event almost just like this. So I think, there's just enough questions that we don't know all the answers to that makes us a little bit hesitant.
My only concern is that I'm looking at the return on investment, and what I'm having, my difficulty is that it's not meeting the threshold of what we would like to see. And I'm not saying a new event is penalized, but the specificity and the level of detail that, we've got events that are bringing in 4,000 people, up to 8,000 people. And again, they haven't done this with, some of the other events haven't done it with, city sponsors. This is something we wanted to do to promote economic development, and we're not by any means talking about any organization would be precluded. But I think the event has to be in Oregon City. That's my big concern. It's got to be in our city limits.
Yeah, I think if it was restructured and the whole thing was here and maybe on a smaller scale initially as a proof of concept, one-day event down there, I would revisit, but I can't support this one.
If we were to make a decision to have the starting line and the finish line in Oregon City, is that something that you would reconsider?
No. See, starting line and finish line, it infers that some portion of the event happens outside of Oregon City.
Well, there would be no reason for people to leave Oregon City there wouldn't be any reason for that.
I think what we need to do tonight is make a decision on the proposal put forward to us. And if you want to restructure it for the future, then revisit it. It's a weird motion, but I'm sad to say I put forth a motion to decline this request.
Second.
Seconded?
Commissioner Frank O'Donnell,
Aye.
Commissioner Adam Marl,
Aye.
Commissioner Rocky Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Mike Mitchell,
Aye.
and Mayor Denise McGriff.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, so we are going to adjourn. And do you want to should I set a time for when we're coming back?
Buck?
So
I don't think we can do it in 10 minutes.
Okay. Yes.
7:50.